Let me guess. You're new to running and you clicked on this video because you just want a good, solid pair of running shoes that you can depend on. You went online or you went to the store and saw everything from toe shoes to spaceship for feet to, well, this. And you're like, I just want something that feels good on my feet and that's not going to get me injured. So if you're nodding along, this video is probably for you. My colleagues and I at the Marathon Handbook have tested dozens and dozens of running shoes over the last calendar year, and we came up with a list of the top 5 running shoes for beginners. Now, one quick disclaimer before we get started. Just recognize that everyone's feet are different and there's a chance that the shoes that we recommend might not work for you, but we do think they're a good place to start. That said, the best thing you can do for yourself if you're searching for running shoes is just to go to the store and try them on before buying them. Don't just buy them online, go try them on. Okay, and without further ado, let's get started with number 5, the Brooks Ghost 16. So the Brooks Ghost is no longer just a shoe, it's an institution. It's a favorite of runners and walkers everywhere, not because of its speed or flashiness, but because of its dependability. In fact, Brooks has barely changed its formula for the Ghost in its last 16 iterations, and there's a reason for that. People like the Ghost, and there's a purpose for it. It's not what an elite athlete would wear at a start line, but it might be what an elite athlete wears on an easy run. And it's also what I recommended my mom to wear when she was suffering from plantar fasciitis. And for the record, she got better. It's just a dependable shoe. Its dense foam stack, comfortable inner lining, and breathable upper just appeals to the masses. The majority of people find it super comfortable. And for what it's worth, the 16 does have a bit of novelty to it. The midsole is made out of revamped EVA foam that's a bit lighter and bouncier than that of the Ghost 15. And that resembles what Brooks puts in its racing shoes. But otherwise, the Ghost 16 is ordinary business as usual. So the Brooks Ghost 16 might be for you if you're a creature of habit and you've happened to try and like another version of the Ghost. This will be similar, if anything, a little bit better. It also might be a good match for you if you value durability in a shoe. Now, I've put in more than 1,000 kilometers in other pairs of the Brooks Ghost, and the 16 is especially good for that because it has these silica rubber tracks at the bottom, which allow it to take even more pounding. And also, if you're blister prone or you're afraid of chafing, this is also a good option because it has a very flexible inner layer that seems to work with many feet. I have a narrow foot, but I have friends with wide feet, and I haven't heard of one person tell me that the Ghost irritates their skin. And meanwhile, you might want to stay away from the Ghost if you're not a fan of big heel to toe drops, so the difference in height between where your toe hits and where your heel hits the bottom of the shoe. So this shoe has a 12 millimeter drop, which is considered pretty high. Most other shoes hover around 8 or even smaller, so that might feel a little bit weird if you're used to lower drops. The Ghost 16 might also not be for you if you like a little bit of rock forward and enjoy landing on your toes or even front midfoot. This encourages more of like a heel to like back midfoot landing. And by extension, it's not the best shoe to run fast. It kind of has one gear, and that's easy running pace. But it does that gear really well. Okay, let's move on to number 4, the Saucony Tempest 2. So something a little bit experimental here from Saucony, and I thought it deserved a spot on the list because it is pretty innovative. It's a stability shoe that can go fast. And before I get into it, I just want to talk a little bit about stability shoes. Most shoes out there are what we call neutral shoes, and all the other shoes on this list will be neutral shoes, meaning they don't have any built-in guardrails to protect against pronation, so your foot rolling inwards, or supination, meaning your foot rolling outward. If you're a runner who needs a little bit of help that way, there are these things called stability shoes. But there's a problem with most stability shoes. They're made super clunky. They're made only for protection and don't have much regard for speed. But the Saucony Tempest 2 is a little bit different. So it is a stability shoe, meaning that it has some extra support on the medial, so inner arch, to prevent your foot from rolling inwards. But at the same time, it also has a layer of supercritical foam, so especially bouncy and light foam that Saucony calls Power Run, that gives you a little bit of pop on your easy runs and also allows for good workouts in this shoe. And the other thing that I really like about this, and this is important, is that sometimes when you add supercritical foam, so the special bouncy and light foam inside of a shoe, it kind of backfires and makes it awkward to easy run in those shoes, giving them only one gear, fast. The Tempest can handle both gears, so you can wear it on an easy run, you don't feel awkward, and then you can pick it up and get into a workout and you still feel good. And all the while you have the stability that you may need. So I would say get the Tempest 2 if 1, you need a stability shoe, 2, you're interested in a shoe that can take you multiple gears, so run an easy run and then break into a workout and then get back to easy pace without feeling awkward, and 3, if you care about durability. All this foam is really hard to beat down. And conversely, I would say stay away from the Tempest 2 if, well, 1, you don't need a stability shoe. In that case, just it's a deal breaker. And also I would say the Tempest 2 might not be for you if you're not all that interested in pickups or tempo runs and are more so interested in just running easy, because there's cheaper options out there for a strictly easy running shoe. Okay, time for number 3. The New Balance 880 V14. Now, this shoe is kind of the ugly duckling on the list. Not that it doesn't look good, but it doesn't have all of the bells and whistles of some of the other shoes. So a few years ago, the 880 V14 was very similar to training shoes of other brands. But in the last few years, other companies have just bulked up their training shoes, making them bigger and bigger, while the 880 kind of stayed the same. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. If anything, it makes this shoe a little bit lighter. And also, I'm not saying that the 880 V14 has no cushioning. What New Balance did actually is they took their cushion compound, the Fresh Foam X, and made it way more compact, probably to encourage a more natural feeling stride. See, big shoes sometimes struggle with that. People find that they're so bulky that striding even feels awkward. For me, this shoe feels super natural, and what I like to do is pair it with a bigger shoe on my easy runs. So I'll wear this one on a Monday, and then a bigger, bulkier one on Tuesday, and it creates a nice contrast. So I would advise you to try the 880 V14 if you're not a fan of big, bulky, or tall shoes, if you like shoes that are relatively lightweight, and also if you like shoes that encourage a quick turnover. Meanwhile, I'd advise you to stay away from these shoes if you're a heel striker. The low heel to toe drop might make this a little bit awkward for you and force you more onto your midfoot or forefoot. And also if you're looking to get 1,000 kilometers plus out of a shoe, I'd suggest you go somewhere else because these ones tend to flame out for me after around 700 kilometers. Next up, number 2, the HOKA Clifton 9. Okay, this is also a little warning shot to HOKA here. I want to see a Clifton 10. This shoe came out in 2023. I was amazed by it when it came out. It still holds up, it still makes my list, but we can't celebrate it forever. We could do it one more time. Okay, so I stand behind my claim that the Clifton 9s are the lowest density shoes that I've ever tried on. They feel like big buoys for feet. Like I put them on and I feel like I could walk or even run on water. They're also classic HOKA. Comfortable inner heel, a rock forward shape that kind of nudges you forward, and a huge chunk of soft EVA foam for comfy landings. It's an awesome feeling shoe. Also, for the curious among you, I heard rumors that the Clifton 10 is going to come out in like very late 2024 or early 2025. But the changes apparently will be minimal, mostly just upgrades in the upper part of the shoe. So when that happens, you can either go and try your hand at the 10 or look out for some deals on the 9. Chances are the price will go down. So the Clifton 9 might be for you if you like that low heel to toe drop feel. If you're blister prone, again, this one also is very comfortable on the inside, not really prone to blisters in the Clifton 9. And also if you're into wearing light shoes on your easy days without having to wear workout shoes that may be light but also probably have less support. And also I'd advise you to stay away from the Clifton 9s if you value durability in a running shoe. So even more than the New Balance 880 V14s, which tend to flame out at 700K. These ones flame out at maybe 600K. I was actually kind of disappointed, and durability is my one qualm with these shoes. And you might also want to stay away if you're a fan of a tall toe box. So this didn't happen to me, but I've had other people tell me that their toes hit the top of the box here in the Clifton because it is kind of short. So 2 things to look out for. Okay, who's ready for number 1? Now, as a nod of respect to the best shoe in the game, I will don the Marathon Handbook trucker hat that's too large for my head. Now we're ready. Okay, let's get a drum roll at home. Our winner, the ASICS Gel Nimbus 26. So I've said this before, a good thing to look for when buying running shoes are shoes with big numbers in their names. That means that the model has been good enough to stand the test of time for X number of iterations. The Nimbus has been around since 1999, which is just shortly after I was born.
Nice.
Parts of it are very reliable and familiar. It has an Ortholite X55 sock liner that prevents blisters, a stretchy and flexible tongue that doesn't itch when you take the shoes off, and solid outsole grip for wet and slippery terrain. The special sauce though, and this is relatively new for the Nimbus, is a massive chunk of FF Blast foam, which allows for cushioned landings but also responsive toe-offs, and that's a difficult balance to nail. Altogether, you have a shoe that's not super light, not super fast, kind of expensive, but also more reliable than any shoe I've ever tried. I've yet to meet a single person who hates the ASICS Nimbus line, much less the Nimbus 26. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the perfect shoe for a beginning runner. So I would encourage you to try the Gel Nimbus 26 if you value durability in the shoe. So same thing here. I've run in this exact pair for more than 1,000 kilometers and it's still holding up. So very impressed by the durability. Also, if you're into shoes that are comfortable. So it does have a pretty flexible construction and can accommodate seemingly most types of feet. And also, try the Nimbus if you're looking for something supportive. So this big, bulky chunk of foam here does a lot to save the joints and keeps you feeling good day in and day out. And also, you might want to stay away from the Gel Nimbus 26 if you're looking for something particularly light. So this is well over 10 ounces. Something like the New Balance 880 V14 might suit you better if you're looking for something a little bit more feather-like. You can also find cheaper out there. So for a training shoe, the Gel Nimbus 26 I find is a little expensive. I suppose you pay a little bit more for that durability. And also you might want to opt for something else if you like to feel the ground under you. Now, this kind of feels like you're running on a platform and I've gotten used to it. I don't mind it, but if you think that'll throw you off, best try something that's a little bit lower set. So that concludes our list of the top 5 shoes for beginning runners. Now, if you happen to go and try one of these pairs, let us know in the comments how they feel. I'm curious to know. But I want to stress again that the best thing you can do if you're shopping for a pair of running shoes is just go to a running store and try on a bunch of different pairs. Hopefully they have a treadmill there that you can run on, and then you know. So best of luck with that. Happy running, and until next time.